Everyone and welcome back to EverlastCyber. In today's video, we'll be going through top 10 Python interview questions that you will likely encounter during the technical phase. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced developer, this video will help you prepare and ace your next Python interview. In this video, we'll be breaking down some questions you will likely encounter and giving the answers that can help you ace this interview. So let's start right off with question 1. What is Python? Python is a high-level interpreted programming language that is known for its simplicity and readability. It supports multiple programming paradigms, including procedural, object-oriented, and functional programming. Python has some key features like it is open source and community driven. It has a cross-platform compatibility. It is also easy to learn and use. It has an extensive standard library. It is object-oriented and it has a functional programming support. And also, it involves dynamic typing. Question 2. What is PEP 8? PEP 8 is the official study guide for Python code. It provides conventions for writing readable and consistent code. It has some key features or points, such as it uses 4 space per indentation level, it limits lines to 79 characters, and it also uses snake case for variable and function names. I'll be showing you a screenshot now of what the code looks like before it is put in the PEP 8 format, and what it looks like after it has been put in the format. So if you look at the before picture, you can see how long the code is, and it is actually difficult to read and understand. But when the PEP 8 style has been applied to it, it makes it more readable to the eyes, and it also uses the snake case to show the variables and function names. Let's move on to the next question. Question 3. What are Python's built-in data types? There are various types of data types that Python uses. So the first one is the numeric type, which involves integers, floats, and complex. Python also uses sequence types like the list, tuple, and range. Python also uses the text type data type, which is a string, and it also uses set types like set and frozen set. Python also uses the Boolean data type as well as binary types, which is the bytes, byte array, and memory view. Question 4. What is the difference between a list and a tuple? A list is mutable, which means it can be modified, while a tuple is immutable, meaning that it cannot be modified. What this means is that a list can be modified after it has been created, but a tuple cannot be modified after creation. Tuples are used for fixed data, while lists are used for dynamic data. Additionally, lists have more memory overhead because they allow for modifications after the lists have been created, whereas tuples are more memory efficient because they are fixed and they cannot be modified after they've been created. Thirdly, lists have built-in functions like append, remove, and sort, but tuples have limited functionality. I'll be showing you a picture of a code. So in the first example, we have a list. We see that the list has been created in the first line, but now we want to modify this list by adding the number 4 to the integers. So we just put in that code, mylist.append, and then the number that you want to add to the list. And by the time you print it out, you'll see that the number has been appended to the list. On the other hand, a tuple, if you try to add anything to the tuple, like after it has been created, it will raise an error because tuples are not mutable. which means they cannot be modified after they have been created. So that's the major difference between a list and a tuple. Question 5. What is the difference between deep copy and shallow copy? A shallow copy copies only references to objects but not the objects themselves, while a deep copy creates a new object and recursively copies all nested objects. So it uses the syntax copy.deepCopy and the parentheses, while the shallow copy uses copy.copy parentheses. So that's the major difference. Shallow copy only takes the references to the objects but not the objects themselves, while deep copy creates a new object and recursively copies all the nested objects. So that's new objects. Question 6. How does Python manage memory? Python uses a private heap for memory management, which means that it relies on a garbage collector to reclaim unused memory. As we can see in the screenshots there, there's a garbage collector that reclaims the unused memories from what we have there. Question 7. What are lambda functions? Lambda function is a small anonymous function that is defined using the lambda keyword. It can take any number of arguments, but it can only have one expression. Lambda functions are used for short, simple operations. Taking a look at what we have on the screen, I'll just give a brief explanation. So lambda xy is the lambda function that takes two arguments, which are x and y. Now the x plus y we have there is the expression that the lambda function evaluates and returns. The lambda function is assigned to the variable add. Now this add is a function that takes the two arguments x and y and returns their sum. So for instance, if we use the function add 2 and 3, here the lambda function is called with the arguments 2 and 3. The lambda function evaluates x plus y, which becomes 2 plus 3, and then returns 5. So the result 5 is passed to the print function, and this gets outputted to the console. Some key points you need to know about the lambda function. For the first one is that lambda functions don't have a name unless assigned to a variable. The second point is they can only contain one expression, which is evaluated and returned. So like the example we have on the screen, there's just one expression there, which is the x and y. And when this expression is evaluated, it returns the answer. Lambda functions are also useful for simple operations that do not require a full function definition. There are various times when we can use the lambda functions, so they are commonly used in situations where a small function is needed for a short period, such as for sorting. So it is used as a key function in sorted or sort. It is also used when the filter function is needed, and it is also used for mapping. So in essence, lambda functions are a powerful feature in Python for writing concise and readable code, especially for short one-off operations. So that is what a lambda function is. Question 8. What are Python modules and packages? A module is a single Python file containing reusable code, while a package is a collection of modules organized in directories with an _int_.py file. So this is what a Python module is, as well as a Python package. The module is a single .py file containing Python code, while the package is a collection of modules in a directory with an _int_.py file. Question 9. How do you handle exceptions in Python? To handle exceptions in Python, you use the try, except, else, and finally blocks. The try block is used to enclose code that might raise an exception. So in the case we have on the screen, the code attempts to divide 10 by 0. This is mathematically undefined and will raise a zero division error. The second block we'll be looking at is the except block. So the except block is used to handle specific exceptions that occur in the try block. In this case, the except block will catch the zero division error that is raised when dividing 10 by 0. So when that expression is caught, the message "cannot divide by 0" will get printed. That is what the except block handles. The next block is the finally block. The finally block is executed no matter what, whether an exception occurs or not. So in this case, execution complete will get printed after the try and except blocks are executed. Just to go through the flow of execution, when the try block is executed, 10 over 0 will raise a zero division error. Next, the except block will be executed, whereas the zero division error is caught and the message "cannot divide by 0" is printed. Finally, the finally block is executed and it will show execution complete. So that is how exceptions are handled in Python. They are handled using the try, except, else, and finally block. But with respect to the code we have on the screen, we only use the try, except, and finally blocks. Question 10. What is the difference between is and equals in Python? Is checks if two variables refers to the same object in memory, while the equals checks if two variables have the same value. That is to say, the is checks for identity, whether two variables point to the same object in memory, while the equals checks for value equality. So these are the 10 likely interview questions you will encounter during the technical phase of a Python programming interview. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And let me know if you would like more of these types of videos on our channel. Also hit the subscribe button so that you'll be informed when our next informative video will be dropping. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.